Sunday afternoon, the time is now 5 past 5 in the UK. However, right now we're going to be heading off to is it Ontario? Is it called Susan Metro?
On Ontario.
Ontario in Canada. So tell me, I'm dying
Yeah.
to know. I'm dying to know why. So hold on. I saw something on Facebook that said that you went to Canada when you were 19 on your own.
No, I think I was
Were you?
26.
Why did you go? Why did you
Yeah,
go to Canada?
I was bored
Oh, really?
and um
I'm bored.
yeah, I was
I'm gonna
bored
nip off
and
to Canada.
I'm just going to go to Canada. Um I tried to get in as I called the embassy to see if I could get into Canada, and they said the only way to get in would be as an au pair, which I didn't want to do. And just as I was about to come off the call, I happened to mention that my dad was born in Canada. And she said, "You're joking." I said, "No, I'm not." She said, "Well, I'll send you a form and you'll have a Canadian passport in 3 weeks."
Yes, your
So
dad was. Did you say your dad was born in Canada? So your dad had a Canadian passport.
he didn't have one all those years because he came on holiday like a couple of times, but he'd lived in Scotland till he was 6 months old. Um, but because he was born in Alberta, any of his children were entitled to Canadian citizenship. So um, I got the passport, and I think I had it for about maybe a year. And then I just went out one Saturday and went to the local town and walked into the travel agent and said, "I would like to book a trip to Canada." And he said, when are you returning? I said, "One way."
Wow.
And yeah, and then I came home and told my mum and dad that I was going to Canada in 8 months, and it was a one-way
And did they?
ticket.
Did they?
So
You must have told them about it before, though,
they knew I was thinking about it, but they just didn't think I would actually go ahead with
because you
it.
were just a kid.
Like I
Yeah.
just, uh, so yeah, I had a family to stay with. They very kindly had been on holiday, and I'd been over when I was 16 years
Right.
old. So I stayed with them initially. But it was a huge culture shock. Like, I used to drive to work in 20 minutes. And then when I arrived in Canada, it was like suddenly it was a 3 hour commute both ways to the office.
So because you'd been on holiday there, you knew where you were going to go and where you'd be staying, and you knew the kind of light. So when you'd been on holiday there, had you been over for like a week or what? How? When did you? We know when you said you
Uh,
went there when you were 16. How long had you gone for?
I think I was there just for three
Yeah, it's
weeks.
quite a long time.
And then I'd been later when I was, maybe 24 for about 2 weeks. But still, it was a huge culture shock because when you're on holiday, it's totally different from when you live there, and you've got to get around on your own
Yeah,
and find a job. And,
yeah.
I was used to driving in Scotland everywhere, and I didn't drive in Canada for a long time because you had to reset a test, and the roads are horrendous compared to back
Yeah.
home, I think. The highways are really, really
Could it
busy.
have been anywhere? Did it have to be Canada? Could it have been anywhere else? And was there anywhere else you thought I'm going to go there? Or was it always Canada?
Uh, just basically Canada. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is it about it?
I thought,
What is it about it you liked? What did you like about it?
uh, well, at that time I loved the sun, so I loved the
Right.
summers. And I always just wanted to do something different because I was raised in a tiny little
Yeah.
village with 500 people. So I just wanted to get out and see the world or see a
Yeah.
different,
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
different bit of the world. I didn't think I would stay this long, but I'm
How
still
close
here.
have you stayed to where you first went to, Susan?
Um, well, where I stayed was in Toronto, but it was out near the
Right.
airport. So I used to be like maybe an hour to get to downtown Toronto, and now I'm further east of Toronto. So I'm about an hour and a half east of Toronto
And
now.
that's a big city, right?
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
So the
yeah,
draw was it. So when you went on holiday there, that was Toronto you went to, was it? The big city. And you were
yes,
from a tiny wee town,
yeah,
and you went. It was all big. Wow! Look at the size of this kind of thing, was it?
yeah, yeah. It was huge. I remember I had a job within 2 weeks. I just applied for all these jobs, And I remember Jean and Stan, who I was staying with, they said, "We'll take the bus to the subway and get." I'd never been on a subway before, really, and I'm looking at the subway map, and I got to the subway station in downtown Toronto, and I came up, and I was just like in shock at all these skyscrapers. And I thought, where do I go? And there was two men in suits coming along the street, and I think I said to them, "Could you tell me where First Canadian Place is?" And they just laughed and said, "Did you just arrive?" And I said, "Yes, I just arrived." So I basically had a job within 2 weeks. So it was pretty good. Yeah.
Also, what did you do in Scotland? Where about in Scotland were you?
I lived in Torphichen.
Right.
It's a small village near Linlithgow and near
Right. I know.
Bathgate.
Well, I work in Livingston. Yeah, I know Torphichen. Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to work in Livingston. I used to work for Unisys.
Oh, did you?
In Livingston, and I left Unisys to come to Canada.
That's amazing, isn't that?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So let's get on my question. So your full name?
Susan Pender Mitchell.
Oh, what's that?
It's my mum's maiden name.
I say nice. Oh yeah, it's a traditional one, isn't it? You don't hear much of that now. Maiden names taken to your middle name, is it? What's it that they do now? Knee. What's that all about? Knee. Do you see that on Facebook?
Yeah, I think it's there.
It's a maiden name. It's a maiden. Yes. Yeah. When you get.
Yeah, they don't want to lose their name.
I find it weird. I find the whole thing weird. Knee. I just find the whole thing weird. You know, if you're gonna get married, you get married. And that's it. But some people just, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't want to lose their name.
I think most women I know want to forget their maiden name once they've got married. Nobody wants to come back. Those things out of the closet. All those names coming out of the closet. You know, don't find your maiden name. Yeah. Oh no. Can I ask your age? Don't know.
59.
Oh, that's good of you. Thank you. Couldn't really answer that question. So your home area is Torphichen?
Yeah, Torphichen. Yeah.
Brothers?
I have 2 younger brothers.
What's that like when you moved away to how much younger?
Ian is 56 and Jim is 53.
Wow.
There was 3 years between us.
That must be. Yeah. Was it as a family person then? Were you quite? That was a real ballsy thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Did you have any regret? Did you have a period where you thought, "Oh God, have I done the right thing here?"
Absolutely. Like I was okay for the first 6 months. It was still like, you know, it was exciting, but after 6 months, I used to cry every night because I was so homesick. I wanted to get home.
It's common.
But I'm so determined, I wouldn't give up.
Yeah.
Like I'm so determined. And in Canada, the holidays are really bad. You have to work a year before you even get any holidays.
Paid holidays, say.
Yeah. So I basically had to work for a year before I could even go home. And you only get 3 weeks vacation a year.
Really?
Yeah, so you had to work 5 years and then 2 weeks vacation a year.
Really?
And then when you worked with the same company for 5 years, you got 3 weeks vacation.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty tough.
It was probably good for you. It's probably good for you, wasn't it? It's probably kind of forced you to get over that barrier. I just need to get past a year, then at least you feel like... And did you come home very often? As soon as you could, did you come home, I suppose?
Oh yeah, the minute my year was up, I was on a flight home.
And did you... When you came back, did you think, I don't want to go back? Or did you know that you were going to go back? Or how did that feel?
I didn't really want to go back, but I did anyway because
you had a job and
it's that in me just to try it and see.
Good.
Do you know what I mean?
Good.
And then eventually I moved out the friend's house and I rented a condominium right downtown Toronto so I could walk to work.
What's a condominium?
A big like skyscraper with individual apartments in it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
A condominium, yeah. So, and I could walk to work in 5 minutes, which
from Torphichen to a condominium in Toronto. That's unbelievable, right? That is
Yeah.
amazing. That is someone else. That.
I was on the 26th floor and I faced the lake. It was absolutely gorgeous. Yeah,
Wow.
really
I
nice.
guess you're rural now, are you?
Yeah, I'm out in
Suburbia,
yeah,
as they call it. Suburbia, isn't
suburbia.
it?
Yeah,
Suburbia. Good.
all the families are out here.
So tell me about your badminton. Where did you play?
I started playing when I was about 10 years old in the village of Torphichen in the local community centre. Um, there was just like one little centre in the park with one
Yes.
court, and it was Marshall and Anne Robertson that started this badminton club, and it was really busy on a Sunday, and lots of people would go, and I started playing there. Yeah.
And there was a lot of people went like when you say a lot of people, how many people would be that one court?
Oh, maybe could be 20 to 30. Yeah, yeah, I would say so. When I count them all up, there would be more than 20 anyway, and we'd all just rotate. And it was on a Sunday. Every Sunday we'd go.
And were they when you say they created it, they just made a venue, or were they coaches? What was that?
They weren't coaches. I think Marshall, he did a little bit of coaching later on. I don't think he was an actual professional coach, but I know that he
Yes.
he did coach Craig Robertson, or he helped
Did
Craig
he?
Robertson at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, Craig. Well,
Um, yeah. Yeah, it was just a little club that they set up because at that time in West Lothian, there was loads of leagues, like, clubs all over the place. And it was just the Torphichen club. I think we were in the first division or the second division. At that time, there was two divisions.
was it the league West Lothian? Was that?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But,
And it was every little village or town. There was lots of different clubs all over the
was it
place.
just everybody you played matches at your home courts, or was there a central place, or did everybody just do it was like home and away matches?
Home and away matches. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I started at the Torphichen club, and then I went to East Whitburn, and that was the club to be in. East Whitburn was brilliant because we had Anne Johnson, who's now Anne Stokes. She played at East Whitburn. Jimmy Johnston and Christine Evans. Our maiden name was Evans, and she was from Greenock, and that was Christine Stewart. And both Anne and Christine played international for Scotland. They went to a couple of Commonwealth Games. And Christine, she used to play with Fraser Gow in the mixed doubles. And I think at one point she was the most player mentioned in the Guinness Book of Records for badminton.
Wow. And so you ended up playing there?
Yeah, because her husband, actually, it was funny, her husband delivered fish.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to come to the village, delivering fish to the village on a Friday. And he knew that I was playing badminton because he spoke to my mum, and he came to watch me play. And he says, right, you're coming up to East Whitburn.
Really?
And it was awesome because I was playing with players so much better than me. Fantastic. And I was improving.
Yeah. That's how you get
and it was better. The club to be in. It was awesome. And I'd won a couple of tournaments by that point. So, it was really good.
How was the mix between West Lothian and kind of Mid Lothian, East Lothian, that kind of thing? Was there competition between the Lothians as well? Did you go into Edinburgh, Meadowbank and things as well, or not really?
Oh yeah, I was in Meadowbank every week at one point, and I played the tournament circuit for years. Yeah, and they would do inter-county competitions now and again, but mostly it was just within West Lothian.
Yeah. West Lothian seems to be at the moment is very much involved in the west side. They go through the Churches League and things like that
yeah.
For some reason it's funny, isn't it? It's funny that they're part of the Lothians, but they seem to be more connected with Glasgow than like Craig Robertson's through in Glasgow. In fact, lives over that way, obviously now. So
yeah. Well, I used to play. I used to go to I think it was Coatbridge. It was either Coatbridge or Airdrie. I used to play there too, and I used to play in Lanark at one point. I played all over the place. Like,
how often did you play? And also, I'll go back to the questions. Okay, let's go back to the questions. So I'm losing track. What age were you when you first played?
10 years old.
Sorry, you said that. Why and where did you stop? Why did you stop playing? Just because of Anne Robertson and Marshall Robertson?
No, my mum and dad played.
Okay.
They played at a local club, and when my mum found,
In
sorry,
Torphichen?
no, I think they played in
All right.
Bathgate. Yeah, actually, no, they did. They did play in Torphichen too. They did. But when I went, they didn't play.
Yes.
I was going after they had
When
stopped
they
playing.
had stopped,
Yeah,
yeah. And that was your. And
yeah.
do you remember? Was your first racket? Did they give it to you, or did you have a hand me down, or did you get your own? Do you remember?
My gran actually bought me my first racket and my first
Brilliant.
sports bag.
Really,
Yeah,
what kind of racket was it? Do you remember?
it was a Yonex.
Wow, that's quite modern back in the day. There's not many
Yeah,
people who
I'm
had
pretty sure
Yonex.
it
Everybody else had Carlton, didn't they? I don't remember. Everybody had
yeah,
Carlton, yeah.
yeah,
So, what was the name of your first? What was the name of the first club was Torphichen, and we already know it was
yeah.
a single core. That's fine. Uh, how often did you play? Yeah, so to ask you that question. How
Yeah,
often was your club? I suppose Torphichen. Once a week.
well,
What?
I only started playing there when I was really young, but then I moved to East Whitburn. So when I went to East Whitburn, it was probably 2 nights a week, and then I got a sports scholarship, so I was renting courts at Meadowbank and anywhere I could get a court with my coach to do some training.
So
Yeah.
tell me, what's a sports scholarship?
It was a scholarship that the Lothian region awarded to players that had potential.
Wow.
And so you could go in, if you had this card, you could call up and get free courts
Wow.
at Meadowbank or anywhere that you could get a court available.
And you decided that you were good enough to get a scholarship?
I just think it was the region because I won the Scottish National junior title, and once I won that, they gave me the scholarship.
Well, you sound like you're well ingrained in the community down over there in West Lothian.
Oh yeah, like for years that was my life. Like all I did was play badminton. Like I'd say at one point I was playing badminton 7 days a week.
Just like I was. Just love it, didn't you? Just loved it, and the people that you meet along the way. It's incredible. What was your first shuttles? Do you remember?
We always played with feathered shuttles. It was RS.
RSL, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was your first coach?
My first coach was Duncan Stewart, and he was Christine Stewart's husband.
And what?
He was the one that really got me started, and took me under his wing and would coach me, and he'd play singles with me, and then he would get me on court with Christine and Anne Johnson. And
was he a good singles player?
He wasn't really he was a good player. He played doubles. I don't think he played the tournament circuit though. He played locally in West Lothian, but he didn't do the tournament circuit.
So were you a singles player mostly?
Singles and doubles. I won the Scottish National doubles as well, the mixed doubles and
the singles first, I suppose. When you're younger, you play a lot of singles, don't you? And how do you think you got better at singles? Was Duncan Stewart? I don't know if it happens now. I think when ladies playing singles against gents makes them very, very strong singles player. I think.
Yes.
And I think that probably, if you have a limited number of people that you're playing against, and when, there's not many ladies play probably compared to gents, so when you're going to play singles, you'll inevitably play a lot with gents, right? Would that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Duncan's philosophy was he always made me play players that were better than me. So I wouldn't win too often because I was playing against.
But as soon as you went to play against
my age group, winning, yeah.
Isn't it? It's incredible. I interviewed a girl in Rafia who's in Java, and she's in Indonesia. She's a coach over there, and there's hardly any ladies that any players at all. She loves singles. She's 24, and she says, "Oh no, I'm too old to play now. I can't play. I can just coach now." You're 24. What's wrong with you? 24. Anyway, so she I mean, if you watch the videos, you see them on court. I think the first one I just introduced myself, and then the second I saw them on court, and you can see it. You can see it. Their style, their technique, their movement is just phenomenal. You can see it.
Yeah.
They can play all day. Also, it's a full time 7 day a week training facility where they get up in the morning and go and play badminton. The exception is when they go and learn something. They're playing badminton 7 hours a day, right? Anyway, this
Yeah.
girl Nafia, who says she's too old, is only play singles with gents. I says you should be playing singles, lazy singles. You'd be phenomenal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So your first ever tournament and trophy, Susan?
I was on holiday in East Lothian when I was 10 years
Oh,
old. I think
you went from West Lothian to East Lothian.
East Lothian. I think I was 11 years old, and I was on holiday, and it was typical Glasgow fair weather, and it was raining. And my dad said, we'll hire a badminton court somewhere. So we hired a badminton court at North Berwick Sports Centre.
Yes.
And this man saw me playing, and he came up and he said, there's a tournament here next week. And he said, my son's partner's, she's not going to be able to play. Would you mind playing with my son if you're still here on holiday? And I said, sure. I think I was 11 years old, right? And I think it was an under 16 tournament. I'm not sure what it was. But I ended up, I won the singles, and I beat I always remember it. It was Kathy Bowles from Edinburgh that I had to play. And that was the first tournament I'd won when I was 11 years old. Yeah, and then the next one, I went on to the Edinburgh Christmas tournament. I won that as well. And then the Edinburgh Evening tournament, the senior tournament, I won that tournament.
Singles, but all these in singles, was it?
Singles, yeah. Well, I won the doubles at the Christmas tournament too. But the evening tournament, I think it was Jill Crombie I beat in the final, Jill Aikman. Her married name was Aikman, I think.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to come on to it. I want to jump to the questions. I need to jump these questions. What are the most successful event singles? I've already done that. Singles and doubles, did you say? Who's your partner for doubles?
I had a few partners. I won the Scottish National Junior doubles with the ladies doubles was Gillian Ross, and the mixed doubles was Graham Smith from Edinburgh.
Do you still keep in touch with these people?
Graham unfortunately has passed away, and I haven't seen Gillian Ross for years.
Maybe we should see this. Who do you think your main competition was growing up? Do you think the draw? Who was there somebody that you were trying to beat that you're on a level with?
Say the main competition for singles was Gillian Ross and Susan Bell. Susan Bell's now Susan Scott.
Is she still about? You still see her?
Yeah, she's on my Facebook. Yeah.
Good. So she'll definitely see this. That's good. And so this is what I'm dying to know now. So you played badminton, you love badminton, you're mad in the community, and you jumped on a plane and flew to Canada.
Yes. Well, no, what happened was, it's not quite what happened. So I played for years. I won the national singles in 1977, and then I think I won it again, and we went to the Wales for the schools quadrangular in 1978. Right. So I was in the Scottish team, and it's funny when I look at the players. Peter Ferguson was in the Irish team, and Phil Sutton was in the Welsh team.
Yeah, well.
So I might even have played against them, but I can't remember.
Well, they might answer that. So.
Yeah, and then.
So what age were you then? You were 70. You were what age were you then?
I think I was about 16. Right. And then in 1978-79 season, I had won a lot of tournaments all season, and I was in the European squad for selection for the European Junior Championships. And then what happened was I didn't get selected. I was non-traveling reserve, and it absolutely
Oh my
devastated me.
God, Susan.
So that really sort of,
That was a nail in the coffin. You literally,
it was a nail in the
you took
coffin.
you literally threw the toys out of the pram and flew to Canada.
Well, no, it took me a while, but I'd literally, like, I'd consistently reached finals and semi-finals all year.
Wow.
And just before the team was selected, I'd won all 3 events at the Midland Open. And I think in the nationals, I got to the semi-finals, and I think I lost in the finals in one of them. But when the team was selected, I was non-traveling reserve, and it was, a lot of people thought it was a very questionable selection, but you know, at that age, I was devastated.
You obviously put your
didn't
heart
say,
into badminton, right? Your heart and
yeah,
soul is in it. You've invested all of your time and all of your commitment and
yeah,
all of your energy for not to get picked is a big blow, right?
yes. And what happened was Roger Mills was the national coach at the time, and he brought this girl up from Surrey, and she ended up getting into the team before I did, and yet I'd never played against her, and she'd never even beat me, so it was just like a double blow. So I think after that, I think I played in 2 tournaments, but my heart wasn't in it the same, and I just played locally, played in the local leagues, um, and that was fun. Like, I enjoyed that because there was no competition, and I wasn't as match fit because I wasn't playing 7 nights like before. Yeah, I took the huff with it big time.
Badminton's full of
Um,
hotheads, isn't it? Don't you think? Badminton players are hotheads. They just lose the plot.
oh
If
yeah,
you
for
watch the
sure.
interview with Holly Newell, she's a hothead, big time. Have you watched her interview? She is a hothead. She's like, no, nobody will tell me what to do. I'll do what I want. It's yeah, amazing. So tell me about
Yeah,
okay, let's move on to current. And so, do you play now? Did you play when you
no,
came to Canada? Did you play?
no, I couldn't because I
No.
didn't know. I couldn't get around. Like, I couldn't drive anywhere. Like, it was taking me 3 hours to get to work and back. So there was no way I was going to get on a bus and try and find a badminton club. So literally, I have not played. But I have a racket, and you know, if I ever come home, the first thing I'll do is play badminton.
You should.
Yeah, well, I could now. Like, once the COVID
Yes.
stops, there'll be local clubs because
I
I
can't
do want
believe
to go
that
back.
you went all the way to Canada and stopped playing. Like arrived,
Yeah,
didn't play any longer.
yeah, because, well, I mean, it was a huge, massive city, and I wasn't driving, so you know, it was very scary. Couldn't get around,
Did you not
right?
have an itch? Did you not
So
think? Did you not miss it? Did you not think about it at all? Or were you not
yeah, I
did you do
did.
any other sports as well? Anything like that?
Um, no, I used to go to the gym. Like, I would go and work out at the
Did you
gym and
so you
stuff
tried
like
to keep
that.
fit? It wasn't like you became kind of lazy or whatever, you just kept on.
Yeah, I was going to the gym at 1.5 nights a week, so you know,
That's absolutely
but no badminton.
wow. And do you not feel like what do you think about I don't know if you got kids or anything like that. Are they into it or anything like that? Have you got any family that's into it or anything?
No,
No.
no, I've no family. All my family's in Scotland,
Wow.
so I've got dogs. I've got one little dog.
And so,
He's my he's
do you
my
still
pet.
work over there as well?
Oh yes, I work for
Or do you? Are you
PricewaterhouseCoopers.
an accountant?
No, I'm a billing analyst. I work for about 13 partners, and I do all their WIP management and client billings and stuff like
Yeah, I
that.
know that. I know that company well.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's a pro. And was that the job you went to? What did you do at school and stuff? What did you qualify? Did you qualify? What did you know when you were playing all the badminton? What were you doing for work and stuff?
Um. Well, because I was playing badminton so much, I guess I could have done better in school,
On the
but
same.
I still did my O levels. But I left school at 16, and I went to college and did a secretarial and administration course. So then I actually worked in British Leyland just before it shut down. And then I went to Unisys and then from Unisys I came to Toronto.
That's
Um,
incredible. It's I hope you get back. I hope you start playing again. Do you think you
yeah.
could?
Oh
I live in
yeah.
suburbia, or is there course near you?
There are courts in Markham, and I think there's a club in Whitby that I might go and join.
Oh,
Like the
please
minute
do
the
that.
COVID
Please do
stops,
that.
I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
go and
Oh
join
yeah.
these clubs. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I went to see the World Junior Championships were on in Markham 2 years
Right.
ago, and I walked into the hall, and Ian Pringle was there.
Right.
Well, Ian Pringle was in the squad at the same time as me,
Yeah, really?
and he was actually over with his two sons.
Yes,
And
really.
I sat and watched the badminton, and
I interviewed his
just wanted to
daughter.
go on the. I don't know if she was there. I didn't
No, I'm
see
saying
her.
I
But she might have
interviewed
been.
her. Did you see the interview? She's
No,
on. She's
I'll
on
have to
it.
watch
She's on it. Yeah, I interviewed her, and she talked about coming down to the Coburn Centre because Ian had the sports shop in, didn't he, in Coburn Centre, I think, at the time for a while, and did
Right.
restringing and all that stuff. And there's a whole story. Caitlin Pringle, that's it, Caitlin. And
Right.
yeah, so he was over, and did he see you?
Oh yes, I went up to him and I said to him, "Hi,
No
Ian," and he kind of
way.
looked at me, and he hadn't seen me since I was about 17 years old.
Wow.
So it was quite funny. But I sat and watched the badminton, and I thought, oh, I was just itching to get on and
Really?
play.
Yeah.
I was like, give me a shot.
Yeah, I hope you do. I really, really hope you do get yourself a new racket and some new shoes, and just feel like
Yeah.
you're gonna and get back into it again.
Yeah.
And you'll probably don't do what? Who was it now? Barry Kinnaird. Did you see that interview? He hadn't played for 20 years, and he went
Yes.
to. Did you watch that interview? He hadn't played for 20, and he went to
Yeah.
Manchester. He went to Birmingham and jumped and tried to do a jump smash and snapped both of his Achilles.
Oh.
At
Oh,
once,
that'd
he
be
literally fell. He jumped right. His work colleague. He said, "Oh, he says you used to play. You must be quite handy. Bring your racket when you come down, and we'll have a game." And they went down in this court, and he literally went to a jump spot and landed on his feet, and then just went like that. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "I've never seen this before. You've broken both your Achilles at once. It's incredible." So just watch how you go, because your instinct think definitely you do think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to be able to do that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
You need,
probably
so there's
agony.
clubs near you now. That's great.
Yeah. And a funny story,
Good.
like when we played in West Lothian, they used to have a tournament. They'd have a tournament, and all the players would play, and it was at Bangor Hospital. Have you heard of Bangor Hospital? So it was a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
And the hall had like 3 courts on a stage. So when you were playing your tournaments at that, the patients they used to just wander in. So some of them would wander onto the court, and you'd to stop your rally and play it again if that happened. And I remember one year there was some concert recital on, and we'd to stop the tournament to let the inmate, the patients, do this concert. We'd all to sit there and wait for it to end before the tournament could resume. So lots of fun memories. And then they used to have a badminton dance. So every year there was a badminton dance in the co-op hall, and they'd present the trophies,
Just for West
the league
Lothian.
winners.
For West Lothian.
Yeah, West Lothian. Yeah. It was a big, like, so many people were playing, and there was so many good players, and a lot of unorthodox players too, right? Well, they were just, I was coached, so
Oh, I see. Yes.
you were coached to play a certain way, and then you'd
Oh, I
go in
know.
and play somebody, and they were really
yeah.
good. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There were lots of good players. When I first started playing, I developed a panhandle grip for the backhand. Like I would go like this instead of this.
Yeah, really?
So they actually they would tape my hand. Duncan used to tape my hand to the racket, to the handle, so I couldn't. Yeah, I got out the habit, but yeah, that's one of the habits I picked up at Torphichen.
You just by hacking your way, by somebody coaching you the wrong way to do things is yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
And I should mention Andy Cook also coached me
Did
for a
he?
bit. Yeah. I used to go down to Falkirk, and Yeah, Andy was really good. And then he would just arrive at the village and knock on my door, and he'd be standing there with Bruce Russell and Stuart Russell, Keith Russell, and he'd say, "Right, get your training shoes on," and we'd go running away up the Bathgate Hills.
He seems like that.
And then I would
He seems quite strict. He sounds like he's been a right tyrant. Sounds like a torture.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Lots of fun.
Yeah, and Jim Mailer, he loved it. He's like, oh, he says, I loved running. He says, I love running. He still runs. And he says, so just, Andy would just have him, and Bruce Flocker, he just hated it. He said, I couldn't stand that stuff. But Jim would said, the idea of paying somebody, the idea of paying for somebody to be a badminton coach and to tell you to go for a run, I don't know what I would do. No, I'd pay to be on that court over there. That's what I play. But
yeah, it was tough. I used to get like my calves would go solid hard, and I had to go and get, I don't know what they did, but that was the problem at one point. But
yeah, I just remember I've talked to somebody about cramps. I used to get cramps all the time. In a tournament day, you go first in the morning, you go through all the rounds, and then you got to the finals, and I just remember having cramps. And I haven't had a cramp in years, but the cramps, when you played through, you get through one qualifier and then a semi, and you'd be in the singles and the doubles and the mix back in the day, I suppose. And by the end of the day, you're in the final of the singles, and you just played the doubles, and you come right, and you get off, and you go to that one, and oh my God. But it was great. I was in Berwick-upon-Tweed. That's why I'm from Belford, Northumberland. So it was Berwick-upon. That's why I played in Berwick-upon-Tweed, and I got coached in. I was actually from Belford, which is 15 miles south. So on a Saturday, I used to go coaching in Newcastle. But Belford was our village hall, and Berwick was like West Lothian, had leagues of, the tiniest villages, had teams. They'd play in the village hall, and they'd come on a Sunday to the league, and really random, tiny villages from the borders coming to every one of them having a team, and it was a real social affair. I remember people coming and somebody making sandwiches and coffees, and it's just gone. These things things are, as a matter of fact, there isn't even home and away anymore.
Oh, really?
Doesn't exist. You don't play. The leagues are in one venue. There's no home and away at all.
Right. I also I played at East Whitburn, but then I also played in the Western Club in Edinburgh.
Oh, did you?
There was Nomads and there was Western, and I played in Western. Yeah. The hall in East Whitburn was just one single court, and it was all beams. So we learned to play like flat, driving all the time, fast game.
You must be about the same. Do you know Arthur Campbell? Did you know Arthur Campbell? Arthur Campbell. He passed away recently. He was a Nomads through and through chap, a good friend of mine. He passed away sadly from what's it Doddy Weir's got?
ALS.
Terrible. He passed. He's diagnosed in virtually the following year. It was very, very sad. Who else? Colin Campbell.
Oh yeah, I knew Colin Campbell. Well, the squad, when I was in the squad, it was who was in the squad? Ross Gladwin.
Yeah, good.
I played doubles with Ross. Ian Pringle, David Shaler, Alex White, and it was all the Susans. It was Susan Bell, Susan Mitchell, Susan Caskey. I think when we went to Wales, there was 3 Susans. It was all Susans in the Scottish. So funny.
Susan against Susan against
Susan. And you go, which one, right?
Very good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, nice. Well, you take care. I'm going to let you go now. It's Sunday night here. Well, it's 6:15 here, so it's over there. It's early in the day with you, isn't it? It's quarter to...
Just quarter to what?
I haven't worked on the technology yet for my world clock. That's my next thing to do. My next task is to have a world clock so I can work out. I'm interviewing Jeffrey Tho, who's in Australia. It's grown arms and legs, but the kind of a conversations are going. It's working out the time differences. It's just
right. Oh yeah.
Indonesia. I've got Australia. I've got New Zealand. Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, Falkland Islands, France, just everywhere. And it's whenever I try and work it out, where am I going? Anyway, it's been lovely.
You'll need to get the world.
It's been lovely to meet you. I need to do that. So I shall let you go on with your afternoon and enjoy. And thanks for coming on, Susan. It's been brilliant. Loved meeting you,
Yeah.
and we're friends now.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye. Good day.
Bye.
That's great.